This is a SandyBoy Productions podcast. Hey friends, welcome to All Have Another podcast with Lindsay Hine. I'm your host, Lindsay. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, my guest on the podcast is Katie Asmuth. I met Katie because she is one of the co-hosts of the Trail Network podcast. The Trail Network podcast is part of the SandyBoy Productions podcast network. And before I introduce Katie, let me just tell you, this is such an amazing show hosted by four women in the trail running space: Rachel Drake, Leah Yingling, Katie Asmuth, and Hilary Yang. And they bring the untold stories of magical moments amongst trail runners to life. These stories of runners on and off the trail capture the essence and the heart of trail running and the power of friendship and connection. It is an honor to have them as part of the SandyBoy Productions podcasting community. The four hosts, sometimes they're all four together on the episodes. Sometimes it's a couple of them. Sometimes it's a one-on-one where they're interviewing an amazing athlete. One of my favorite recent episodes was episode 50, where Hilary Yang interviewed Sarah Attar about embracing adventure, intentionality, and the unexpected. And if you don't know Sarah, she is a gifted photographer, a two-time Olympian, and a trailblazer in every sense of the word. She competed for Saudi Arabia in the Olympics, competing in track and field in 2012 and 2016. And she's a creative force in the photography space. So definitely check that out. If you want to check out the Trail Network podcast, that would be a great episode to start with. Another one you might be interested in checking out if you're a fan of this podcast. I don't know about you, but this is right up my alley, so it might be right up yours. Alexis Crellin, episode 46 of the Trail Network podcast, where Leah, who is going to be a new mom herself, talks to Alexis, who is a climber, a mountain enthusiast, and an ultra runner based in Salt Lake City. She has 2 top 20 finishes at UTMB, top finishes at Speed Goat 50K and the Rut 50K. They talk about raising resilient kids while getting after your own goals. Okay, that is like all I needed to hear. I hope you enjoy this episode with Katie, and in listening to it, I hope you're like, oh, I should definitely check out her podcast that she co-hosts. Let me introduce to you Katie, though. Katie is the mother of 2, and she has 3 top 10 finishes at Western States Endurance Run. She placed 5th at Western States in 2021. She placed 9th in 2022. There's a story behind that, though. And in 2023, she placed 4th. She's also a nurse practitioner. She runs for Hoka. She spent years running for Saucony and is now with Hoka and excited about that new adventure. And she's just doing so much incredible work in the running space. I hope you'll go follow her on Instagram. She's KT_Asmuth over there. She lives and trains in Mammoth Lakes, California. And this one is short but sweet. But man, I was filled up by Katie's energy and all that she had to talk about. She's overcome some pretty gnarly injuries over the last couple years, and she's back at it. She just ran an FKT for a self-supported time at Joshua Tree and is doing some really cool stuff. So check Katie out, check the Trail Network podcast out, and a quick plug here. I'm going to be at the IU Health 500 Festival mini marathon weekend. The weekend is full of amazing experiences. Indianapolis in May is just the best, the absolute best. On Friday, May 2nd, Allie Bretnacker and I are hosting a live podcast at Bottleworks Hotel downtown. We've got Kim Conley, 2-time Olympian, Cameron Balzer, who recently ran the perimeter of the United States. Yes, that is 11,000 miles plus. And exciting news, the USATF 5K champs are that weekend, the same morning as the mini marathon. So there's a lot of super speedy athletes in town for that. I believe one of those athletes will be joining our panel as well for the live event, which is Friday. It's at 4:30 p.m. at Bottleworks Hotel on Friday, May 2nd. I think we have like 8 tickets left. So if you want to come, make sure you go grab your tickets like now. You can find tickets in the show notes at SandyBoyProductions.com. We've got some great sponsors supporting the event with amazing goodie bags that you you will walk away with. The ticket price is $25, but you will walk away with way more than that in goodie bag supplies and products. Previnex is joining us, which we're super grateful, as well as Erica Sarah, the Stretch Lab Indie, Project Lean Nation, Transcend Health and Wellness, Bitch Stick, Athletic Annex, of course, my favorite, Athlete Bouquets, and it's just going to be an incredible weekend. I'm going to put the link to all those supporters of the live show in the show notes here, along with their discount codes if you want to support any of those businesses. These are all small businesses supporting this amazing event. I'm super, super excited about it. All right, friends. And then, of course, the mini marathon. I mean, if you haven't run that race, get it on your bucket list. IndyMini.com. You get to run on the Indy 500 track. You start and finish downtown Indianapolis. It is a very flat, fast course. You run through all sorts of neighborhoods where you get to see like what Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis really is. You run through Speedway, which is such a cute little downtown. And you've got entertainment on the course, like more entertainment than you see at a rock and roll race, truly. Local entertainment, too. You see 12-year-olds on electric guitars. You see cloggers. You see church bands. You see the Indianapolis community showing up, and it is really special. I'm going to be actually race announcing the 5K Champs, which is a really exciting opportunity, and I'm honored to do that and be a part of it. So definitely check out the Indy Mini. Go to indymini.com to learn more, get signed up. All right, friends, thanks for being here. Enjoy my conversation with Katie Asmuth. All right, today on the podcast, we have Katie Asmuth on the show. Welcome to I'll Have Another, Katie.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I'm so happy to be here.
We're doing it. We've tried this before.
I know. Pod number 2.
The Wi-Fi connections in Mammoth Lakes, California. You just don't know what you're going to get.
I'll never forget. I was interviewing Molly Seidel, and I was so cold, and because we had we had an issue, and it was so cold. So it's one thing or the other, you know. We're like, you don't have heat, you don't have Wi-Fi. We live in this like remote little part of town. You just never know what you're gonna get. So we just keep things interesting over here.
But wait, can you tell me why, like, what brought you to Mammoth Lakes, and tell me a little bit about living there?
Sure. Yeah. So let's see. I'm originally from Ojai, born and raised Ojai, California, if you've heard of it. And my husband was from, he was born outside this like tiny lake in Oregon. So we're both from really small towns. Him from like a town of 10. So very small towns. This was like originally, then he moved to Bend and Eugene and whatever. But the point is we wanted to raise our kids in the woods, essentially, like how we had been born and raised. And
that's great.
So we were living in LA, and we knew that wasn't our forever place, but frankly, both of us were loving our jobs. I loved the trails in LA. My family was in LA. I was happy. But there was just this gnawing need to be kind of in the wilderness. And we bought a condo in 2017 in Mammoth, and we were like up here all the time, like twice a month at least. And then COVID hit, and I mean, now our kids, Noah, my 10-year-old, he thinks he went to kindergarten here just because of COVID. So it was like this, we lived here for all of COVID, and we worked remote during that time. And so anyways, and then when we had to go back to work in person, and basically we bought a different house in LA that was closer to the mountains. And then we found out that my husband's job could go remote. So 2 months into living in that other spot, we were like, just kidding. And then moved back to Mammoth and bought our forever home here. And now we're never moving. So.
Oh, that's so good to feel that like we know this is where we want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I will say I had I loved living in LA for a lot of reasons. And I love going back to see my family. And that's really where I started trail running. And that's where, I really took off on my career as a nurse practitioner and really loved that part of life. And it's not like a secret that we're much happier here. So
really? Yeah. What were you in LA for? Because you said you grew up in Ojai. Is that like on the outskirts of LA?
So Ojai is about like an hour and a half from LA.
Okay.
Yeah. And for college, from undergrad, I went to Loyola University, Chicago. So I was in Chicago for nursing school. And then right out of nursing school. That's a whole nother story. It's actually why I started running, so maybe pertinent. But my mom had cancer. She's fine now, thriving. But
awesome.
she had cancer. I'm one of 5 kids, and I'm the oldest girl. I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I went home just to be there for my family during that time. And so that's why I went to LA, was to work at LA County General, an emergency room night shift. It was a time. And mom had cancer and it was a whole thing. So it was just to be closer to where my family was. Had no desire to actually live in the big city, but was really just trying to be a nurse, right? Like I was just out of school. So I was trying to get as much, experience as possible. And so that's why I went back to LA and then met Pete. So that's my husband. And that's where he was living. And that's where our lives kind of intertwined.
Is Pete a runner?
Well, at the time when I met him, he was a triathlete. He was actually doing Ironman, and I was training. Oh,
wow. Trail runner meets Ironman.
Well, I had no idea. I didn't start trail running until later. I was running. I was training for a marathon, but honestly, I was just trying to get outside. I was working night shift, LA County General, like traumas unit, like nuts time in life, where I really, and mom had cancer. It's just a lot going on. And I remember running laps around the Rose Bowl after getting out of shift at 7 a.m. and being like in this alternate reality, just kind of feeling like trying to feel, honestly. It helped me because I wasn't really a runner. I grew up doing ball sports. I was outside all the time, but for me, that was just a place for myself to kind of go inward. And and then fast forward, I learned about trails. I grew up backpacking, so I didn't realize people actually ran on trails. Like amazing to kind of put these two loves together, and then there was no going back once you start running trails, it's hard to like stop.
Well, and you realized you were good at it. I mean, you grew up an athletic kid, but like you placed top 10 at Western States 3 separate times. So like, when did you realize like, oh, I'm going to go like sign up for some trail races to like, oh, I can place top 10 at freaking Western States?
Well, it was, so I got married and we went to New Zealand on our honeymoon. And if you're a trail runner listening to this, you've probably read Born to Run. I was a part of the Born to Run era. Yeah. And so I'm reading this during our honeymoon and I was like, we're not hiking. We are running everywhere. And that's where I really started running trails. I'd never done that before. And so we just ran all over New Zealand and it was so fun. And I came home being like, now I'm a trail runner. I'm never going back. And I linked up with a group. It was a trail running group for women, which was very cool in LA, in Santa Monica. And they taught me where all of the different trails are because in LA, there's so much, but you kind of have to know where to go. There's really popular trailheads, which you try and avoid. And then there's the ones that are in this like remote little, not remote, but, kind of down a residential neighborhood. And you're like, oh, there's a really sweet trail. And anyway, so you just find these little nooks and crannies and kind of get to understand those LA trails. And so that's where I fell in love with it. And I guess I realized pretty quickly I was good at it because I mean, it's so much to learn when it comes to trail running and ultra running. When you first start, your mind is like, what? I learned how to tape my feet. I learned how to fuel. I learned how to like eat a gel. I mean, all these things that you're like, what is all this? How to pat your running vest. I didn't know about any of that. And so I just learned a lot from this group. But it was clear pretty quickly that I was quick. I was quicker than some of the other, I think everybody's just kind of out for a jog. And I was like, I want to run. So I learned a lot and was kind of a sponge learning from kind of veterans that had been doing it for a while, but also wanting to push myself a little further and then started winning some races and just feeling like, maybe it's time for a coach. And then, it all kind of, I don't know. It was like.
Wait, so who was your first coach?
My coach is David Roach.
And was that your first coach too?
First coach ever,
really?
ever running ever. Yeah.
What year did you start with him?
Oh, I think we're going on our 8th year.
Okay. Cause I'm just trying to like put into perspective, like how long you've like really been taking this seriously.
Yeah. So I guess 2017, cause my first 100 miler was 2018 and it must have been, 2017 because I signed up for a 100 miler mostly because Pete was doing Ironman, and I was like, wait a minute, you take off on these 6-hour bike rides? Like, no, I'm not going to let you just go off, and I'm going to be like home with the kids. I mean, at the time we didn't have kids, what? Anyway, actually we did have kids. Right. What am I saying? I did have kids. My first kid was in 2015.
Yeah, because how old are your kids?
God, that's all blurred, Lindsay. 2015 and 2017. So I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Okay, so 10 and 8. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, it was kind of more like together. Like I had been running before that. I'd been running trail, but I didn't really, my first 100 was after my second was born.
Yes.
So, I mean, they've their whole life I've been a trail runner.
So for those listening, I'll have mentioned this in the intro, but Katie is one of the co-hosts for the Trail Network podcast, who so graciously came onto the SandyBoy network.
Okay, side note, Lindsay, graciously, you graciously took us.
Oh,
it was a joint relationship. It's not like...
But you guys are all big names in the trail world. I'm so honored to have you as a part of this. It's so exciting to have all these women run podcasts in the network where we can support each other and lift each other up. And I'm honored to have you all on the team. Have you talked about on the Trail Network podcast? I'm curious, Ironman and trail runner. I feel like those are two very vastly different personality types. Maybe not, you tell me, but I just feel like when you envision a trail runner, it's kind of carefree and and Ironman, it's gotta get all your stuff together and very organized. And, my husband's done one Ironman, so I can envision a little bit of this, but yeah, talk to me about that a little bit. And does he still do Ironmans?
Okay. This is really interesting because if you're in the trail world, you know that UTMB is now owned by Ironman. So that was very controversial when that started. And so now it's this joke because Pete has all these Ironman bags and he doesn't have a tattoo, whatever. But we have stuff and it's you can't bring, that's done. We are done wearing that.
You can't show up at a trail.
No, it's very controversial. Anyway, but when I met him, he's not this intense athlete in that way. I mean, sure,
okay.
He's won some trail races, but in the sense that he's just out there for fun. And he was a part of California Triathlon and it was just a bunch of friends that were doing it. And it wasn't, this very he would try his best and compete, but he wasn't doing this professionally.
Maybe not the stereotypical Ironman guy that we're thinking of. Okay.
No. And he also is a surfer and a skateboarder.
Okay.
No. Yeah. He's very much, and I think it's now, it's almost he did it just because it was triathlon. And so that's why, and it's just a further distance. So I think of him more as an endurance athlete. And that's what attracts me to him that's not just why, but that's initially maybe why, was because of the endurance athlete part of him and wanting to push himself and that sort of thing. But I will say, the logistics behind Ironman actually comes in quite handy for logistics for ultra marathon. So he's taught me a lot about fueling because triathlon was, and now ultra is kind of catching up, but so far ahead. And of course, cycling so far ahead of where fueling was, when I first started. So I learned a lot about that from the get-go from him, which was very cool. Just the importance of carbohydrates and honestly, understanding your sweat loss and your sodium intake and all this stuff that when you start doing something, you don't know anything about. So it's actually really helpful having him kind of be the first endurance athlete of the family. Yeah, in that way.
This episode of I'll Have Another podcast is supported by Lagoon Sleep. If you are not sleeping on Lagoon pillows yet, what are you doing? Why are you not doing that? It is the best way to get a good night's sleep is to have a great pillow. And the great thing about these pillows is they send you with what is inside the pillow so it can be as full as you want it to be. That's the thing about pillows. You get a pillow and they're all the same. With these pillows, you can customize it. You fill it up as much as you want it. And you take a 2-minute quiz and then Lagoon pairs you with the pillow that is just right for you. If you're a back sleeper, side sleeper, if you want a more firm pillow, a softer pillow, they pair you up with the pillow of your dreams. Ryan, the founder of Lagoon, is so passionate about sleep. He not only has researched and designed these amazing pillows, he cares about the other stuff too. And they have the most delicious night bites that are made with dark chocolate, not chocolate that has caffeine in it. So don't worry about that. These are rich and velvety dark chocolate bars crafted with 200 milligrams of magnesium and 200 milligrams of L-theanine to help you relax your body and mind while enhancing your nightly sleep routine. It's also like super yummy to have a little bit of chocolate before bed. They're all organic, caffeine-free, and gluten-free ingredients, and they are the perfect nighttime treat. We all know magnesium is good for the sleep, and we all know chocolate is good for the soul. So have both. Go to lagoonsleep.com/Lindsay and use the code Lindsay, LANDSEY, for 15% off your order. Check out the pillows, check out the night bites. You won't regret it. Nothing is more important than sleep. All right, back to the show. Okay, so let's talk about Trail Network just a little bit.
Let's do it.
You, Leah, Rachel, and Hilary all started this podcast together. I want to hear like your relationship with each other beforehand and why the four of you, like why did the four of you decide to start the show together, and update us like how it's going and how things have changed and what you like about it and things like that.
So much to say here. Okay, first, I will say that I am coming off, or I was in an injury, and when you're injured and you're an athlete, it's the worst, right? Like you're like, I just want to stay connected to this sport I love so dearly. And so for me, I really dove in head first. Like I was crewing friends, I was pacing friends, I was doing I was volunteering at aid stations, I was doing a lot of other things to be a part of the sport, a lot of media, race commentary, that sort of thing. And it was December, and I remember looking at my Spotify list of like what podcasts I listened to, and they were all men. And I screenshotted it and I sent it to my friends, and I was like, we need to change this. Like I am embarrassed because this is everything I don't stand for. Like, why is there not more women in trail podcasts, I should say. And of course there's Trail Society, so shout out to them. Also good friends. But so that summer I had crewed Leah at UTMB, and Rachel was there crewing her husband. And so Rachel and we had known each other before. We'd met maybe a couple of years prior, but it was really fun to spend time with her. And Leah and Rachel were good friends, and they had spent, I think, a month together in Chamonix, rooming before the race, that sort of thing. So, and now, of course, they're neighbors because now Rachel moved to Salt Lake City where Leah lives. So it's very fun to have, it was the three of us. And so anyway, I reached out to Rachel and was like, Rachel, we have to change this. And then I was like, we got to bring Leah on. So it was the three of us, and we were really excited. We had a totally different name, and we were trying to figure out who we are, what we were going to be. But we were like, we need to bring more stories about the magic of trail, the connection of trail to the masses, right? Well, fast forward, we deeply needed some help when it came to, we needed Hilary Yang,
organization.
We needed her. Okay.
I can totally see that just based on like working with you guys. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So like Leah, Rachel, and I are all in medicine. We just have different minds. Hilary is our like,
you needed the creative human.
We needed our creative juices, and we all have, we've got touches of it, you know, and not enough. And we needed her. She was like, first you're changing your name. No, it was.
But she's like in the industry though. Like she's photography and stuff, but like she's in that kind of like headspace all the time.
Oh, she's our creative director. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so she kind of runs that part. So when wait,
have you shared what the original name was going to be?
You know what? It's so good. I think I loved the original name.
Do you not want to share it in case you use it for something else?
I think we might use it for a different thing. But
okay, you'll have to text me offline.
I'll text you offline. Okay.
I want to know, and I won't tell anybody, but like I do want to know.
I think it's really good.
Okay. I'm gonna follow up
nobody's taken it yet.
And I won't say anything. I won't tell anybody.
Yeah. And just for the record, It was before Hilary came on. So like we had come up with that name. So
you are creative.
And then Hilary was like, no, it's really bad. Though I still like it. But, and then Hilary came up with our logo and our little tunes.
Which is great.
And, you know, she kind of established us as an actual official podcast. And we just, having the fourth has been really nice. So something about that's unique to the Trail Network podcast is that we are really flexible. So there's the four of us, and if we can all get on, awesome. Sometimes just three of us get on. Sometimes just two of us get on. Sometimes none of us or just one of us can do it. So then we interview somebody else, or, you know, it's like very fluid and very stress-free. That is our number one thing, is sustainability. And we want to continue to do this and not burn out. And we're all very busy. We have very busy lives. And so it's been really nice because there's been times where somebody's like, hey, look, I've got to take this month off. I'm out. Like big personal stuff going on, whatever. And we're like, cool, like we've got it, you know, and we all kind of juggle it. And Emma, who of course works with you, has been an amazing editor. Emma. Love Emma. And we wanted to keep it female, right? So we love working with you because it's female owned, right? We love working with Emma because she's a female editor. So that was really important to us to have those female voices, and just kind of even in the backstory of it, that's where it came from. That's why we're doing this. And yeah, male guests as well, but majority are women.
Yes,
yeah,
we still love men.
Yeah, we're not anti. No,
yeah, we're not anti-men. We just wanted this. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So let's talk about your world a little bit. You said you guys are all busy humans. Yes. You have 2 boys.
Yes.
You're a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
And you run endurance trail races.
Yeah.
This call, we have like a hard stop because my kids are coming home from school. You're going to pick up your kids. Talk to me about, this is such a cliche question, but like talk to me about that work-life balance and how you prioritize things in different like seasons of life, or like even days of the week, you know?
Yeah. So as mentioned, I was injured. I've had now 2 navicular surgeries, which sucked. And during that time, it was one of those things, like I never had a broken bone before, got a broken bone, and then it never fully healed, and then had to have surgery again. Okay. So I was like in a scooter for 1.5 years. Okay. And during that time,
so intense,
like really not
a
fun.
Scooter for 1.5 years.
Well, okay. I had 7 months. Well, okay. It was like over 2 years. And then I had 7 months where I was actually racing. And then it was broken again. So, you know, there was like pauses. Anyway, I took the entire year last year and didn't run. I was like, you know what? I'm not coming back from this again too early. So I got into gravel cycling, and it was really fun. So I dove headfirst into gravel cycling. I was like competing in gravel cycling, but like just wanted to get back to running. Also working my tail off as an NP and as a mom. And I realized pretty quickly in the fall that the bubble was going to burst. Like there was no way once I was getting back to running and really training that I was going to be able to get back on the global stage again with the amount of work I was put, like my hours with being an NP and then being a parent. And it was too much. I was bursting. Like I was happy because I was really fulfilled in all aspects of it. But honestly, it was like, whew, this is really hard to juggle. And I'm one of those people that I've been asked this question many times, as I'm sure you've asked, and you always are like, you know, I'm really present where I am and you can juggle it and I'm super organized, but like you can do anything, but you can't do everything, turns out. And I think there was this aspect of like, all right, something's got to give, you know? Yeah. And I was really leaning a lot on like family friends on our village here in Mammoth, picking kids up from school, taking them whatever, taking them here, helping out with here. And Pete and I are both working full time. It was a lot. And it got to the point where I'm like, man, I'm not parenting my kids. Like I'm seeing them at night to feed them and put them to bed, but I'm not hanging out with them. Like this kind of blows. So Pete and I made a massive decision last December. I decided to take a power pause, we're calling it. I love that you're calling it that. I think somebody else has dubbed that, but at least a year, maybe 2. And I'm taking a break from medicine for a small amount of time. I mean, it's like my vocation, so I will obviously go back. but I'm really going all in. You know, I was signed by Hoka. I was previously with Saucony, and Saucony was going to continue with me. And I was like, you know what? I need to do something else. I need to be a part of a brand that is really fully invested in trail running the way Hoka is. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going all in with Hoka. I'm going to be a professional athlete and lean into Hoka, to this podcast, to my kids for a year or two. And obviously I'm still an NP and still getting consulted with all the time. And anyway, I had a deposition the other day. Anyway, so there's still like medicine is still a part of my life. But so it's been, I will say, I just want to be very honest that it's not easy. I think there is a way to do it. It's just you can't do everything 100% all the time. And I think you have to really lean into how they complement each other, and working full time and being a professional athlete and being a parent. It's like, it does complement each other. I think I'm a better runner because I'm a parent. I think I'm a better parent because I'm a runner, right? So like, I think there is a part of that. I also think that it is tough. And I think there is this aspect of making sure you're really good at planning and being organized and using time efficiently. But it's got to be something that you love and that you want to commit to if you're going to be doing something other than parenting, because parenting is going to be your full-time gig. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. And yeah, it's been really good. I will say when I go back to work, it's going to have to be like part-time for a little while before I get back to full-time, because you kind of start getting used to this full-time professional athlete life. And man, it's a lot to really go all in. As I know you talk to a lot of professional athletes, but like this is definitely a full-time job without children. So
and just like the phase of life you're in, like the ages of your kids, your age, where you are in your career, it's like the time is kind of now, you know?
Yeah.
And taking breaks from those kinds of things that like are big parts of our identity can be really challenging. And also, what are your feelings about the NP thing? Like, did you feel sad? Did you feel like a rush of relief? Like, what did that make you feel?
Yeah. I mean, I'm the person I am because of being an NP in medicine and what my patients have taught me and what medicine's taught me. Like it's definitely part of my identity, and it will always be. I'm going back to medicine, to be clear.
Yeah, you're going back.
But I am. And I love it. But also it kind of got to the point where there was no other option. Like I couldn't be a professional runner, and I had to do, just from where I was. So, and also I will say the professionalization of the sport, right? So when I first started 10 years ago running, it was different. Like I was working full time with kids and running, but I was able to juggle it because maybe it wasn't as professionalized. Now everything is getting faster and everything is, you have to be all in. It's not, you don't have to be competing with the best. It's really tough, at least where I'm at right now. And I think part of this is coming back from injury and getting those miles back on my legs and trying to get back to the competition that, to compete where I was before takes time, and respecting your body in that way. So yeah, I'm trying to get back to that, and also know I'm a new me, and I'll never be back to where I was because I'm new and different and stronger in other ways. So, I will say there's a part, when you've done something my whole life and it's like, I've worked since I was 14, like it's just a strange feeling to not be working in that way. And I'm now, switching my mindset to being like, actually, I am working.
This is work.
This is work. And kind of owning that part of the job title of professional athlete is that it deserves that job title. 'Cause it does take a lot of time, and kind of that respect there. And so, I think there was the initial kind of sting of like, oh, this feels like not a real job, but
it totally is.
It totally is. Yeah.
It totally is. I love this for you.
Yeah.
I love this for you. When you said Power Pause has been coined, is it the woman who wrote the book that's like, she's like touring the country now? She talks about like taking breaks in work for motherhood, which you're doing this for like running and motherhood, and like your running is still your job too. But also having 2 kids in on this is like a big factor as well. What is her name? Motherhood Untitled.
Somebody else told me, they're like, this person, and I still don't know this person's name.
Okay.
So I feel really bad that I'm like, this isn't my term that I coined, but I love it. I love the idea of just a pause. And you think about when I'm 90 years old and I look back on my life, I'm not going to regret this decision during these golden ages. My kids are like the fun age. I want to hang out with them. It's been awesome. They want to hang out with me. It's been really fun. And I think
time frame there.
Yeah, it's so fleeting. So, and I'm 39 years old, so that doesn't last forever also. So kind of that, all of those things coming to a head point. It was just, it was the right time.
I think it's exciting. I think this is an exciting new time for you. I knew that you were with Saucony and you signed with Hoka. I did not know that piece that you were offered to re-sign with Saucony. So like you really had a choice to make. A lot of times you see people, their contracts are ending and they're like, okay, I'm looking for a new sponsor. But like, okay, Katie, with 2 sponsor offers, that's pretty cool.
Honestly, it felt really good to be in the position that I was in. The fact that I was negotiating in fall of 2024. And the last race I had raced was Western States 2023. And yes, it was the best race of my life. And probably, hopefully it won't be the best raase of my life forever.
No.
But it was up to this point, it was the best race of my life. And it was so awesome. But I definitely went out with a bang, and then stayed in the sport in other ways, which really speaks to kind of the importance of community and the importance of being a part of your sport in more ways than just competing. But so it felt really good to have Hoka want me. And I loved Saucony, really had really good experiences with Saucony. I have nothing bad to say about that brand. I loved it. There was only 3 of us on the trail team, and it was really tiny. It was fun. We went to Saucony at one point. We were like, we really want this shoe. And they're like, awesome.
Who was it? You, Grayson, and who else?
Adam Mary.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, it's cool because it's so tiny. That felt very family oriented, and you could go to them and say, we want this shoe. And 2 months later you had a prototype, and it was really, really different. Now Hoka, it's very much, much bigger, and the trail team is much bigger, and it's a completely different culture. So, but really fun, and clearly tons more opportunities for a trail athlete. Mm-hmm. So, Hoka sponsors the biggest races in the world, all of the UTMB World Series, the UTMB championships, of course, and Western States amongst lots of others. So, UTMB is kind of Hoka is everywhere, and so is UTMB is everywhere. And so, to be a part of that brand is a really big deal. They really are investing in our sport. And so I really wanted to be a part of that movement. So it's been really fun. Yeah. I just got off a 14-hour photo shoot day, with Hoka and Joshua Tree. It was super fun. But yeah, I did some photo shoots with Saucony, but this was like next level. Just the investment in trail is very cool. So.
Okay. And that we have to talk about. One thing I want to mention though, you have mentioned your injury multiple times, and the fact that Hoka wanted you on the team despite coming back from you are back from this injury now, and you're building to this new version. Like you said, you're not going back to what you were. You're going back to this new, stronger version in different ways. But that they were we want 39-year-old Katie who had these 2 very intense surgeries and recoveries. She placed 4th at Western States in 2023. We don't know what 2025 is going to look like, but we want to take that chance on you. How does that make you feel?
Connected. It makes me feel really connected to the trail world, that they see me, they value me, for more than just results, and for the work that I've done, for instance, with UTMB and equal women's media coverage during their races was a big deal. I've worked with the PTRA, Professional Trail Running Association, and, the Here for the Women's Race campaign and all of these things. I think that they saw that for me, it's bigger than just race results. It's about your community impact as well. But they also know that I'm not done. Like, I've got this deep fire, and I told them that, like, this isn't me in my sunset years. Like, I want to go throw down. I'm ready to compete. So that felt really good to kind of get that validation that they see me for me, and also that my hopefully best years are ahead of me.
I love that. You just got an FKT at Joshua Tree. I knew you were like, when we planned this interview, you were like, you hadn't done it yet. You were just like, I'm going to go after it. So explain to us, what is the Joshua Tree? Like, what is the distance? You did this self-supported. So tell us about the experience.
Sure. So I should backtrack because there was a reason I needed to do this for myself. Okay. My first race back, as everyone can imagine, this is like Katie 3.0 now after 2 different surgeries, a new sponsor. We announced this week, the week of Black Canyon 100K in February, that I'm now with Hoka. It was this big deal. Really, really fun to line up for a golden ticket to get into Western States again at Black Canyon 100K. And it was my first DNF. So, wah, wah. I talk about it on the Trail Network podcast. And it was really tough. In a lot of ways, also a hit to the ego of like, hot damn, like I have a lot of work to do to get back to the global stage. And also the fire's there, and like, I know I'm talented, but like, also it's just going to take some more time. And also I had really bad GI and a horrible blister that day. It was just a bad day, but I had fun otherwise. It was great to be back in the community and back racing. Like, there's lots of positives, but was not the day I wanted. So fast forward, Hoka asked me to go to this photo shoot in Joshua Tree last week. And I was like, well, since I'm there, might as well put in a big effort. So the Joshua Tree FKT has been known and thrown down by many, many legends in our sport. And I really wanted to go for the supported time, which is the most competitive time. I mean, of course, because you can get paced the entire time and you can have everybody else hold your water and fueling for you. And that sounds fun. But I showed up with nobody, the production crew, none of the athletes were there yet. So I was alone. So I decided to go for the self-supported FKT and got it, which was massive. It's a 37-mile route through the entire Joshua Tree National Park. Starts at Black Rock Canyon Campground and then goes to the north entrance of the park. And it was really windy, sandy, total adventure. And definitely the hardest I've worked since probably 2021, like in a speed way. Like, I really didn't let off the gas and was just like push the whole time. And so that felt really good to be able to get that effort in my legs. And I know everybody listening is a runner. And when I finished that, it was like my legs were like doing the throbbing cramp thing right away. Like, it felt good to put in that effort. Yeah. Like, whew, okay. Like, that was a massive effort and a really big confidence booster, to be honest, because I'm about to line up for another golden ticket race. And of course, for a golden ticket is to get back into Western States. So it's a big deal in the trail running world. So yeah, I'm lining back up, and this time, know that if it doesn't go according to plan, I have an amazing plan B. Which is really fun. So you kind of jump on this hamster wheel of like trying to get back into Western States. And, I'm definitely on that. Want to ride that train as long as I can. And also, if it doesn't happen this year, then that's okay. And, I'll go for it next year, but, I've got a really fun plan B. So yeah, I'm feeling really confident and good, and just know that Joshua Tree FKT needed it for my own, I don't know.
It's a mental thing.
Just
too.
The mental, knowing I have it still,
Yeah.
So.
Hey friends, big news from longtime sponsor Previnex. They've got a new Gut and Green superfood product, which is packed with organic greens, clinically studied gut health ingredients and a clinically studied anti-aging ingredient that supports digestion, immunity, longevity, natural energy, and overall health. You take 1 scoop with 8 fluid ounces of cold water once a day. And when I tell you this is the best tasting superfood green product I've ever had, I'm not kidding. They have an apple flavor to it that makes it so much more delicious than the typical gut green products you've maybe had in the past. Not only is it great tasting, it's made without any junk. No gums, no sugar alcohols, or artificial anything. The thing about Previnex is they care so much about the quality of their ingredients, and more than anything at all, they care about bringing health to your life. So if you want to check out their gut green product, I highly recommend it. I take it every morning now before my coffee. So I know you've heard me talk about Previnex for years. They've got the creatine, the muscle health, the multivitamin, the joint health, all kinds of good products. So if you want to try this product and you've already used my other codes, as long as you have the gut and green superfood in your cart, you can use the code Lindsay Superfoods. That's LINDSEY Superfoods for 15% off your order. You can add whatever else you want in the cart, but as long as the gut and green superfoods is in there, use the code Lindsay Superfoods, and that will get you 15% off. All right, I'm super excited to hear what you think. I am fully on board with this, and I look forward to growing in health with you and with Previnex as the years go on. Can you say what is the next golden ticket race you're going after?
It's called Canyons 100K.
Okay, and when is that?
April 26th.
Okay, so you're coming up pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the week after Boston.
Yeah, it has a 13,000 feet of gain, which is what I'm worried about since it's tough to get vert since I live in the snow. So, yeah, we got a huge, massive hill workout tomorrow. So we're going to see what I can do out there. I'm really going to give it my best effort. And I've made a lot of changes. I now have a nutritionist. I'm doing a lot of changes with my fueling, which is important, and realizing that my sweat rate is very, very high and I need like a liter of water an hour. So yeah. So lots of changes, but I'm pumped. I'm realizing if you want the carbs that you can take, you also need the hydration to go along with it. So you can't be pushing 100 grams of carbs an hour and not having the hydration. So you gotta pair them together. So
yeah. When I had your coach David and Megan on my podcast, we talked a lot about like the carb thing, because I was asking them all these questions about like the high carb intake on the run is like such the rave right now. And I was just like getting their opinion on how important that is, like who can do it, who shouldn't do it. And of course, David and Megan are like super scientific, but it sounds like you've worked with them, but now you've also gone another level to work with a dietitian as well. That's
right. Yeah. Specifically for performance. So yeah, it's been definitely eye-opening to see.
It's kind of exciting, like to have that extra like layer of like armor almost in your system to go to that next level.
It's so fun. Running is so fun. Trail running is so fun. The logistics behind it all. I mean, you're always a beginner because there's so much to learn, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what keeps it so engaging, and so like the fight is so fun to understand, to keep challenging yourself. And I'm so pumped on this sport, and I feel like I've just begun, which feels really good.
And for those listening, Katie has placed 5th in 2021, 9th in 2022, and 4th in 2023 at Western States. So, I mean, you just missed that.
9th, I broke my foot. I ran for 60 miles on a broken foot. That sucked.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was not fun. That was don't recommend. I'd never broken a bone before. I didn't know what it felt like. And when you kind of disassociate in a 100-miler, like where you just stop feeling your body a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Or at least I used to. I think now I won't feel that way as much, where I'll just kind of be like, okay, feel this way, and can continue to push, except if it's broken, I'm not going to push. We're good.
Right. We don't need more surgeries. Like,
yeah,
we'll stop.
No, broken bones. We don't need to push through that. Yeah, there's a line.
For Canyon's 100K for your golden ticket, you have to get top 2 to get a golden ticket. Is that correct?
Top 3. So in most golden ticket races, it's top 2. In Black Canyon, the one I just DNF'd, and then Canyons, it's top 3. So
why are those top 3 instead?
I don't know. They're special.
Yeah.
This is new. Having 3 is new.
Okay.
So it's very fun to have it. I think they're just trying to get Western states to be even more competitive, but it's top 3 for the men and women's field. Yeah.
Okay. Love it. Okay, Katie, we have to wrap up with end of podcast questions that we always do. What is one thing professionally or personally you have not done in your life that you would like to do? Running, work, family, whatever.
Oh gosh, there's so many. I guess we'll just say running just because I have to. I really need to run UTMB. So we've talked about that before the podcast. You're like, what have you done there? And I'm like, I haven't actually. I've only done media in Chamonix. So I do need to. There was a blip where we were all kind of not running UTMB races. Not all of us, but many of us, because we were frustrated with the way things were going. But they're working with us, and I'm very proud of that work. So I will stand on Canyons as a UTMB event, and I'm proud to stand there, knowing that we've worked really hard to make it the organization that it is today. I think took some pressure, so hopefully it continues in that direction. But UTMB, like the big finals, UTMB, CCC, OCC, that's all in 1 week in Chamonix, and I need to run for sure CCC, for sure UTMB in my career. So we'll go the running route. I need to do those.
Love that. And I just want to say good for you all for like not just complaining about what was happening, but like rolling up your sleeves and doing something about it. That's really
Kamala Harris said that. Do we throw up our hands or roll up our sleeves, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, Kamala was talking about something much bigger and more important than running. But when we think about, like, do we just complain or do we actually do something about it? And we lots and lots and lots of talks with them, and it's been really productive. So, yeah.
Good for you guys. That's awesome. Okay, 2 more questions. Best, most recent book you've read or favorite book you like to recommend to people?
Oh my gosh, I just finished reading this book. You're going to laugh. It's called Majestica. It's a kid's book. You're going to laugh at me, everybody.
That.
But
like a YA?
My 10-year-old
or you read it for your 10-year-old?
My 10-year-old read it. And it's called Majestica. And it's like a chapter book, okay? But I'm reading this book going, this is so much fun. Because he's like, Mom, you have to read this. And it's fun because you bond with your kid while you're reading, and he's like, are you at this part yet? And but it's very, very fun, and the imagination is so wonderful. So I highly recommend, especially for parents, because if your kids read it too, and it's a fun one to read with your kids. So Majestica, we're going with that one.
Listen, I read with my kids every night. I'm reading Open though, Andre Agassi's autobiography. And I'm like a fourth of the way through, and I started reading the first chapter to my kids, and they liked it. And I was like, well, I'm stopping where I'm at, and I'm just starting over with them, because to be able to share, like living those stories together, to me, there's nothing better. So I love reading books with my kids so much because it gives you something to talk about and like relate to as well, Yeah,
and life lessons. And it's back to the sort of how it all complements each other. Like that reading is obviously a personal thing. You're doing it, you're reading, but you're doing it with your kids. So then it becomes a kid bonding thing. It's like doing things that kind of overlap and make it all intertwined is what can make this life so much richer. So, yeah.
So good. Okay, last message for the podcast today. What do you have to give or tell or share with our audience? And
just anything, any words of wisdom. I guess there's no rain without the rain. There's no rainbows without the rain, right? That's the whole saying of the meaning of life is to give life meaning, right? It's about leaning in when things are tough and knowing that if you focus on growth mindset, on being process oriented, then that's what life's about. The overcoming the challenges and seeing all of the goodness along the way.
I wish that I lived in your town because I just feel like you gave me so much life today. That was like, you have an infectious personality. Like you make me want to know you more because, you just just good energy. Good energy, Katie. Thank you so much.
You're awesome. Thanks for having me on. Super fun. Yeah, shout out to the Trail Network podcast. I love that you're giving us shout outs. Love that.
Heck yeah.
Let's turn all these roadsters into trail runners, Lindsay. Come on now.
Let's do it. Okay, we'll link it in the show notes. We'll link all like the episodes we talked about and the show and everything. And y'all go follow the Trail Network and subscribe for sure because you got to be there.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.